is Dr. Karthikeya TM. I am Assistant Professor from Department of General Medicine, Sree Balaji Medical College and Hospital, Chennai. I have 6 publications, 4 monograms in various index journals. Today, we will be talking about gingival enlargement and stomatitis. So, the learning objectives of the topics are we learn about the definition, clinical features, management and treatment. Coming to the introduction, gingivitis refers to inflammation of the gingival tissues surrounding teeth without loss of connective tissue attachment. It represents the earliest reversible stage of periodontal disease. Stomatitis denotes diffuse inflammation of the oral mucosa involving cheeks, lips, tongue, palate or gingiva. It can occur from infectious, autoimmune or iatrogenic causes. Both conditions reflect oral mucosal responses to local and systemic insults, often providing early clues to underlying diseases. In systemic practice, these lesions may indicate hematologic, nutritional or immunologic disorders. Physicians must recognize oral manifestations as a part of comprehensive systemic evaluation. The oral cavity serves as a mirror for systemic inflammation, infection and metabolic dysregulation. Here is an image of gingival hyperplasia. Anatomy and normal oral defensive mechanism. The gingiva, which is a part of periodontium, consists of epithelial and connective tissue providing a protective barrier around teeth. Saliva maintains mucosal integrity through lysozymes, immunoglobulin A, lactoferrin peroxidases that suppress bacterial colonization. Resident microbiota form a stable biofilm that competitively inhibits pathogenic species. Mechanical cleansing via mastication or tongue movements help remove debris and microorganisms. Epithelial turnover ensures rapid shedding of infected or damaged cells, maintaining mucosal health. Systemic conditions like xerostomia, diabetes or malnutrition impair these defenses and predispose to oral inflammation. Coming to the pathogenesis of plaque induced gingivitis, dental plaque biofilm initiates inflammation through microbial toxins and metabolic byproducts. Gram negative anaerobes including Porphyromonas gingivalis, Fusobacterium nucleatum trigger host immune activation. Polymorphonuclear leukocytes infiltrate the junctional epithelium releasing cytokines like TNF alpha, interleukin 1 beta and matrix metalloproteinases. Vasodilation and increased vascular permeability produce erythema, edema and bleeding tendency. Chronic exposure leads to a predominance of plasma cells and lymphocytes, sustaining low grade inflammation. The condition remains reversible if plaque is controlled before connective tissue destruction begins. Coming to the classification of gingivitis, we have plaque induced gingivitis, non-plaque induced gingivitis, drug induced gingival enlargement, hormone related gingivitis which is seen in pregnancy, puberty and oral contraceptive use, nutritional deficiency related forms like particularly vitamin C deficiency which can cause bleeding gums, and some systemic disease associated gingivitis with respect to leukemia, HIV and granulomatous diseases. Systemic association of gingivitis. Diabetes mellitus exacerbates gingival inflammation through inflamed neutrophil function and glycation related microangiopathy. Leukemias may manifest as diffuse gingival enlargement with spontaneous bleeding due to leukemic infiltration. HIV infection predisposes to linear gingival erythema and necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis. Scurvy, which is due to vitamin C deficiency, weakens collagen causing ulcerative friable gums. Pregnancy gingivitis arises from hormonal vascular engorgement and increased prostaglandins. Medications such as phenytoin, cyclosporin and nifedipine can cause fibrotic overgrowth mimicking chronic gingivitis. Here is an image of vitamin C deficiency, that is scurvy, showing bleeding gums. Coming to the clinical features of gingivitis, we have erythematous swollen gingiva with loss of stippling is an early hallmark. Bleeding on gentle probing reflects capillary fragility due to inflammation. Halitosis, which is foul odor, arises from volatile sulfur compounds produced by anaerobes. Patients may complain of tenderness or gum discomfort. No radiographic bone loss is present. In chronic forms, color changes, fibrotic thickening or spontaneous bleeding may develop. Coming to the stomatitis introduction, stomatitis refers to inflammation of the oral mucosa resulting from infections, irritants or systemic diseases. It can be acute or chronic, localized or diffuse involving any part of the mucosal surface. Common types include aphthous, herpetic, candidial, necrotizing and allergic stomatitis. Pathogenesis involves direct mucosal injury or immune mediated epithelial destruction. Pain, erythema, edema and ulceration are the typical manifestations. Physicians must consider nutritional, hematologic and immunologic causes in recurrent or atypical presentations. Coming to the classification, we have various classes like cause due to infectious stomatitis, aphthous stomatitis, allergic contact stomatitis, radiation or chemotherapy induced stomatitis, nutritional stomatitis which is due to again vitamin B complex, iron or folate deficiency, and autoimmune conditions like Behcet syndrome, pemphigus vulgaris and lichen planus may cause chronic stomatitis. Coming to the pathogenesis, epithelial injury initiates inflammatory cascades releasing cytokines like interleukin 6, TNF alpha and prostaglandins. Viral infections like HSV1 can cause cytopathic effects with vesicle formation and mucosal ulceration. Fungal infections, especially Candida species, are more prone for bleeding gums. Autoimmune forms involving autoantibodies which destruct desmosomal proteins leading to epithelial acantholysis. Nutritional deficiencies impair epithelial regeneration and local immune defense. Drug induced mucositis involves direct cytotoxicity and microvascular injury, common in oncology patients. Here is an image of stomatitis which you can see ulcers over the angle of mouth and the posterior pharyngeal wall. Coming to the clinical features of stomatitis, painful oral ulcerations are most frequent. Erythema and edema of the mucosa may represent acute inflammatory response. Vesicle or bullae can be seen particularly in viral or autoimmune forms. Candidal stomatitis may present as white curd-like plaques which can be wiped off, leaving erythema mucosa underneath. Necrotizing forms may show pseudomembranous and halitosis, especially in immunocompromised and malnourished patients. Chronic cases may show mucosal atrophy, fissuring and secondary bacterial infection, complicating healing. Coming to the differential diagnosis of oral ulcers, the various forms are aphthous ulcers, herpetic ulcers, traumatic ulcers, ulcers due to TB or syphilis, malignant ulcers and autoimmune mucocutaneous disorders. Complications of stomatitis and gingivitis. Untreated gingivitis may progress to periodontitis. Chronic oral inflammation is linked to systemic inflammatory burden contributing to atherosclerosis and endothelial dysfunction. Bacteremia from oral infections can cause infective endocarditis in predisposed individuals. Severe stomatitis can result in malnutrition and dehydration due to painful oral intake. Opportunistic infections like oral candidiasis often herald underlying immunosuppression. Examples are HIV and chemotherapy. Persistent lesions may undergo malignant transformation, especially in chronic erosive lichen planus. Coming to the diagnostic approach to gingivitis and stomatitis, a comprehensive oral examination is mandatory. History taking with respect to oral hygiene, medication use, dietary habits and systemic illnesses needs to be checked. CBC which may reveal leukopenia, anemia and thrombocytopenia in hematologic related stomatitis. Blood glucose and HbA1c which will help us to identify uncontrolled diabetes mellitus as a contributing factor. HIV and hepatitis B and C virus testing are indicated in chronic atypical or ulcerative lesions. Microbiologic cultures and biopsy can confirm diagnosis in resistant and suspicious cases. Coming to the lab and imaging evaluation, we have gram stain and culture which can identify bacterial pathogens like Streptococcus or Fusobacterium in necrotizing gingivitis. Fungal culture or KOH mount can confirm Candida species involvement. Zank smear or PCR helps diagnose herpetic stomatitis. Biopsy with histopathology reveals acantholysis, disc keratosis or lymphocytic infiltration supporting autoimmune etiologies. Radiographs or panoramic imaging may show alveolar bone integrity, differentiating gingivitis from periodontitis. Nutritional assays, which are vitamin B12, folate and iron levels, are useful when deficiency states are suspected. Coming to the management principle in gingivitis, the cornerstone of therapy is plaque control through meticulous oral hygiene and professional scaling. Antiseptic mouth rinses, particularly chlorhexidine with concentration of 0.12 to 0.2 percentage, reduce microbial load and inflammation. Topical anti-inflammatory agents such as benzidamine or NSAID mouthwashes provide symptomatic relief. Discontinuation or substitution of offending drugs is crucial in drug-induced gingival enlargement. Correction of systemic factors including blood sugar control in diabetes enhances treatment efficacy. Follow-up dental evaluation ensures resolution and prevents recurrence. Management principles in stomatitis: identify and eliminate the underlying cause, whether infectious, nutritional or autoimmune. Topical anesthetics like lidocaine, viscous or coating agents like sucralfate suspension relieve pain and protect mucosa. Antiseptic or antifungal mouthwashes like chlorhexidine, nystatin are indicated in microbial etiologies. Systemic antivirals like acyclovir are effective for herpetic stomatitis, while fluconazole treats extensive candidiasis. Vitamin B12 supplements or iron and folic acid supplementation is vital in deficiency related forms. Severe cases may require systemic corticosteroids or immunosuppressants under specialist supervision. Now, coming to the summary, gingivitis is a reversible inflammation confined to gingiva, while stomatitis represents widespread mucosal inflammation often linked to systemic disease. Microbial biofilm, immune dysfunction and systemic comorbidities form the central triad in pathogenesis. Early recognition of oral lesions offer a valuable window to diagnose nutritional, hematologic and immunologic disorders. Comprehensive management integrates local therapy, systemic optimization and patient education. Regular oral hygiene and interdisciplinary collaboration between physicians and dental professionals are essential to prevent progression to periodontitis. Recent advances in molecular diagnostics, probiotics and laser therapy are reshaping the preventive oral medicine. The physician's awareness of oral manifestations of systemic diseases significantly improves holistic patient care. These are my references for the images. Thank you everyone.